All right, everybody, back at you with some more political shit. I'm still working on places to film in this new place. Hopefully we don't get any whistling through the door there. They came and tried to fix that. It's whatever. So I came across a post on my Facebook feed. I'm just going to read through it real quick. It was posted by what appears to be a fake profile, fake name, whatever. You know how people are too fucking scared to post their political thoughts on the internet without hiding behind mask. It says, hot take, scholastic book fairs are harmful to children from lower income families. It's hard to imagine anything worse for a child's interest in reading than seeing your classmates' excitement, choosing and buying books, and feeling left out and embarrassed from not having the money to participate, repeated time after time as they grow. It should be free or not at all, and schools shouldn't be middlemen business. And schools shouldn't middlemen business between children and private companies. You know, I never really appreciated how easy it was to read aloud from people who know how to fucking use grammar. Unsurprising that somebody who's got this worm-like take on socioeconomic status would, come at it from such an angle. But the first thing that stands out to me just with the first sentence is the fact that it's like, okay, so the fundamental argument behind this prose really is that, if you have more than someone else, it should either be taken from you or you shouldn't be able to enjoy it. You know, I've seen the same argument peddled by left-wing extremists who, in all seriousness, claim, well, having a dual parent household is an unfair advantage. So if you come from a mom and a dad who are still married, especially, if by the time you're attending public school, well, that's not fair. And you should be penalized for that. And they literally go so far as to suggest, well, why don't we take everybody away from their parents? So it's this tabula rasa, ostensibly tabula rasa thing, where, now there's no more unfair advantages. Harrison Bergeron comes to mind. I doubt this person couldn't afford books as a child, so they probably didn't read that book. But it's like, okay, so what are we going to do now? Well, Susie's a lot prettier than Sally. Sally feels bad, so do all the other bimbo 5 out of 10s in the class. So why don't we put a mask on the prettier girl? Why not? She's prettier. She shouldn't have that. She's making other girls feel bad for not being as pretty. Or what about with men? Well, Chad is 6'2", caramel, and built like fucking Hercules. Well, we should make it so that he has to walk around crouched so that he doesn't remind all the other average height men that they are as such. It's really quite disgusting and pathetic way of thinking. I think it's probably the most pathetic way you could possibly think, because not only are you removing agency from yourself, you're removing the agency that allowed another person to succeed, again, not in the case of children, from them, and you're acting like we should all come down to the lowest common denominator. America's already gotten shitty enough with the myriad of socialistic programs that we have here. Do you really think something like eliminating scholastic book fairs for children because the poor ones, feel bad because other kids' parents aren't so worthless that they can afford a couple dollars for a book at a book fair? It's like, dude, it's ridiculous is really what it is, and then it keeps compounding as we go on. It says, it's hard to imagine anything worse for a child's interest in reading than seeing your classmates' excitement, choosing and buying books, and feeling left out and embarrassed from not having the money to participate repeated time after time as they grow. Right. So what really pushes away children from reading isn't the fact that, they're forced to read trite, literally useless books for years on end, sort of conditioning them against liking reading. I can't tell you how many people I've had this conversation with who consider themselves stupid because they don't have the knowledge that somebody like myself would have because I've read, purely because the whole idea of reading at a very deep level for them was destroyed by the innate structure of K through 12, not some fucking scholastic book fair. I mean, how out of touch do you have to be to look at the American governmental educational system and say, yeah, you know what pushes kids away from reading? It's not the fact that they're forced to read useless crap that sucks, that has nothing to do with what they're going to do in life. It's the fact that once or twice a year there's a book fair, and some of them can't afford to buy a book because their parents are losers. So to that effect, or to that end rather, it's like you would want to use that feeling, not to become some spurned worthless socialists like Harrison here, but to think to yourself, gee, you know what, why is it that Johnny's parents make $200,000 a year and my parents can't even afford $1,000 a month worth of rent? What's the difference there? You know, and this is where the real pernicious nature of this way of looking at the world comes in, because it immediately walls you off from looking at the relatively simple things that you would need to do to go from being somebody who can't afford a book for your child at a book fair, you know, to somebody who can at least live a decent middle or upper middle class lifestyle. You know, and a lot of the time it comes down to, most of the time it's laziness, but also cowardice, entitlement, this web of interesting worldview that seems to be a product of like industrialized civilization because everything's so easy or whatever. That's a separate topic, I suppose. But it's like, dude, you know, you really, somebody who says something like this and agrees with something like this really is perhaps unconsciously or beyond the scope of their own awareness, kind of walling themselves off from ever ascending ranks socioeconomically, you know. Just by not spending money on stupid shit and working a job, for instance, you generally will be fine. I mean, you may not necessarily go from not being able to afford a book for your child to a multimillionaire, but you really don't need millions of dollars to live well. I mean, it shocked me the first year I made $55,000 years ago now. It was just how much money I was able to save because I don't blow money on stupid shit. Now, whose choice is it to spend money on stupid shit? It's yours. Or you can choose to spend money on stupid shit. You know, I meet these single guys, they're bringing home $6,000, $7,000, $8,000 a month, and it's all gone. It's like, what the fuck what do you have to spend money on? And so what happens is you end up in a position where, you know, because somebody's spending money where they shouldn't, you know, now we can't have little Timmy with a book. But this of course has nothing to do with, you know, scholastic book fairs or anything. It's just a way to perpetuate the, you know, smarmy, worm-like, pathetic attitude that a lot of socialists and other morons have for being poor, you know. And I get it, a lot of the decisions that you have to make might be difficult, but you can't turn around and say to me, because you're too much of a pussy to make a hard decision, that now, because I have, my children or myself shouldn't be able to enjoy the fruits of that. I mean, that's ridiculous. So to go on, it says, blah, 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 it should be free or not at all. Okay, so what are you, like some fat middle-aged school teacher that's yelling at Timmy for bringing in gum without enough gum for everybody in the class to share? Like, this is the kind of toxic femininity, I guess you could say, the kind of stupidity, this sort of egalitarianism or nothing, with no consideration to the ramifications of that. That it's just like, what? This makes no sense. You know, you see this in like Latin American countries, right? Where it's like, oh, you know, if you bring a banana for a fucking snack or something, and people see you with it, you know, if you don't share it with them, now you're mean. It's like, I'm mean? All I had to do was think for 10 seconds and go, gee, I might be hungry today. Why don't I have a banana? You know, can you not do that? Is there some, you know, are the parents of Timmy who, you know, are middle class superhuman compared to the parents of Johnny who, you know, are barely scraping by? No, they're not. The parents of Johnny are probably idiots, or repeatedly, time and time again, make decisions of their own volition that damages them. So you see, as it depends on how deep you want to go, really, but it's like, okay, so does nobody have free will? Is it all just random or whatever? It's, I don't know, you know, I could go on endlessly about this bullshit. And then finally, you know, schools shouldn't middlemen business between children and private companies. Really? Like what is this? What is this rank hatred for private companies compared to K through 12 in the United States? That's government funded. You know, not that the private schools are like that much better. It's just so staggeringly inefficient. So, you know, how about K through 12, or government schools rather, don't act as a middleman between our most useless class of people, i.e. government teachers, and the people that are, in a lot of cases, forcibly held captive, or at the very least, the parents of these people who are forced to pay, you know, for this crap. Why don't they stop doing that? You know, why don't they stop acting as middlemen between mountains of propaganda and historical revisionism? But no, between private companies like Scholastic Book Fair, or Scholastic, is that the name of the company? I don't know. It's just, you can tell this person is spurned, is upset, is probably worthless, is probably a loser, and they have to stretch so hard to find something wrong with having a book fair because poor kids might feel bad that not poor kids can have a book, that they miss the massive overarching issue, which is that government schools in America are complete and total fucking garbage. I mean, and if they're not garbage, they are so hellaciously inefficient that it's staggering. Though I suppose coming from a civilization that uses experimental medical treatments on children for a disease that's virtually guaranteed to not hurt them, really that surprising? I don't think so. So anyway, hope you enjoyed. Thanks for watching, and have a good day.